Thanks very much everybody for tuning in again. This is the Shiels Bon Jovi segment of my life. It's a very small part of my life, but it's obviously become very big. I can't believe the phenomenal response we've had from all over the world. Little did I realise that a few days ago, less than a week ago, when I had this, just talking about what happened all down the years, that I'd wind up on every hard rock, heavy metal, blues rock, jazz rock, country rock website in America. And not only that, we wound up on examiner.com. 2 million viewers a day. And there's a great article there called "You Give Skid Row a Bad Name." They're telling the story about Kiss and Bon Jovi and the American Skid Row who stole my name. And then they have me down as the guy who came out of the woodwork. These kind of disgruntled guys that are sitting around like they're over 60 and they're looking at crying their eyes out, like crying salty tears, like looking to have a go at somebody. And things are so bad, like they're probably working in the kindergarten in Denmark and they don't have a go at anybody. That's not me. Like, I enjoy life, I love life. And what it's given me is not an excuse, but in a sense of it's an excuse to go through the history of where it's from the start, which I'm going to do. I'm actually going to do this program every week. I'm bringing on all my best pals down the years, the great Noel Bridgman, who along with myself and Gary Moore toured the world. We're going to talk about the great times we had and where we went. I'm going to bring along Ted Carroll, who actually started Skid Row with me. We came out with a band called the Uptown Band. I'm going to have all the boys are coming in. Pat Farrell, he has his own radio show here, Dublin Radio Clear. Like all the guys are coming in. But before I start, I just want to thank all the musicians. I had a phenomenal response from musicians all over the world, like great musicians. And I'd like to thank them, and I'll do as much as I can. Every week I'll do a few more. But I'd like to start off with the great Bernie Tormey, one of the greatest rock. He has the whole thing together. He played with Ozzy Osbourne, played with Killen after he left Deep Purple. And of course, Bernie has his own band. He's playing with the two boys. They're just a great outfit there. You'll find them all over Europe, all over him. Thanks very much, Bernie. I have a great pal of mine, Terry Flood, in Houston, Texas. When Terry was younger, he played the guitar right-handed. Unfortunately, he cut his hand in a very bad accident, and he had to change the guitar around and play it this way. And he's just a great guy. He's over there in Houston, Texas. I just want to say thanks to him as well. Yeah, one of our old lads, Jimmy Slevin, he played me for a good while. He's over in Germany. You've Dick Farley, he's back home now. He's France home, all the boys. And all the great musicians who played with me down the years. And I'm going to explain how I'm going to call it a misunderstanding. Because I'm trying to contact John Bon Jovi, Richie Sambora, Doc McGee, Rachel and Snake. These are the guys who registered the name. According to Sebastian Bach, you could open his page. They registered the name without even telling him. They shafted him, never mind me. So anyway, basically what I'm saying, I'm not looking for, it says in the Examiner, which has 2 million viewers a day, that I'm in for it's funny, it's the spoiled cat thing. I could be in for a multi-million-dollar payout. I'm not looking for money. This is what I'm explaining to everybody. I don't want money. I just want these boys to come forward and admit that we were there. And Gary Moore and Noel Bridgman and me were a much better band than the American band. As a matter of fact, I'm twice as old as those guys, Snake and Rachel. But I take them on in the Battle of the Bands tomorrow, no problem. So what I'm doing is, I'm bringing out a new album in 2 weeks' time. And I'm going to call it John Bon Jovi Never Rang Me. And it's Skid Row, full stop. So it'd be interesting to see if these guys are going to come out and actually try and stop me. Or are they going to come out and say, sorry Bush, we inadvertently, it was an aberration. We should have really thought more into it. We should have tried to contact you. We apologise profusely to you. Because obviously, here, listen, look at this. There's Arnold Schwarzenegger on the cover of an album called The Rockbuster, 1970. And when you see the names on this, you won't believe it. I'll just read a few of them out to you. We have Miles Davis, Blood, Sweat and Tears, Santana, The Soft Machine, Poco, Bob Dylan, Gary Barr, The Boards, Argent, Johnny Winter, Edgar Winter, and Skid Row, An Awful Lot of Woman, and who? B. Shiels. How many people do you know that's on the Bob Dylan album? How many people do you know that was lucky enough to get on all that? there we are there, we're on this album, check that out. That's Skid Row, right? Like, the whole thing is completely ridiculous. Now let me just tell you a little bit about it. The band started in 1967, the end of 1967. Ted Carroll, he was the manager. He went on, he was the manager of a band called the Uptown Band. They were a soul band that most people reckon that the Commitments was based on, because when is the last time you heard a soul musician with a Dublin accent? I'm the only one. And if you read Roddy's book, you find that one of the guys worked in a meat company. And hey, that was me, alright. So anyway, I'm playing soul music in 67 with the Uptown Band. Ted Carroll, he's the manager. Both of us decided we had enough, we were going to start a new band. So we got together. Ted wanted to call it Your Father's Moustache. I said, that won't do. So we got the band together. We had Benny Cheevers on guitar, he was there before Gary. We had Phil Lynott and we had Noel on drums. We were looking for a name. We went around to the Wimpy Bar in Dorchester. At this stage, we were rehearsing in Quigley's. Now it's very important I'll tell you about this. Kathleen Quigley, Willie Quigley were the mother and father of Pat Quigley, the great Jerry Quigley, Boxy Quigley, Peter Quigley and Breda Quigley. And the movement were practicing in their basement. The ceiling was falling off of the the ceiling was falling down. You never see that like it. There was cracks in it from the boys playing with a through 15-inch speaker. And Pat was there with the movement. And they recorded one of my songs, Head for the Sun. And it got to number 8 in the Irish charts in 1968. And I couldn't believe it, but there's a great band from Ireland called the Radiators from Space, or sometimes they call the Radiators. And they've a new album out in Chiswick very shortly. And they have that song on, Head for the Sun. And the only song that I ever wrote that Philo actually sang, it's called New Places, Old Faces. And if you go out and buy Hooks Records, Skid Row, you get 2 live John Peel shows like you've never heard. We started off one John Peel show with Noel Bridgman doing a 9-minute drum solo. And I used to say it sounded like a wildebeest with a motorboat, a motor right strapped to the back of his neck. An outdoor motorboat, let's put it that way. Like that. Now, Elephant Stampede, you never heard anything like it. Unbelievable. Have a listen to that. That's John Peel, 2 John Peel live shows on Hooks Records. Now, on this record as well is a thing called on Live and on Song. And we were on a little label run by a great pal of mine, Joe Colgan, called Song Records. He wouldn't charge us. He let us record for him. He paid for us to record. And he's still a pal of mine to this day. And Bill recorded one of my songs called New Places, Old Faces. It's beautiful. And the Radiators from Space, they have it on the new Chiswick album. So I'm just going to take you through this for a minute. The very first Skid Row band, as I said, was Benny Cheevers, Philo, Noel Bridgman and myself. Benny Cheevers just happened to win Apprentice of the Year in Guinness's as an electrician. So he couldn't stay in the band. Then we're playing in a place called Uncle Bill's, 72 Middle Abbey Street. We're doing a gig there. And Smiley Bulger is there. Smiley Bulger, he could have been only 14 or 15, and his brother Stevie were playing the records. And Frank Murray and his great pal Paul Scully went down to hear this band in the Go-Go. And Frank says to me, there's a great guitar player down there. I don't know whether they were playing with the Feud. I think it was the Feud they were playing with. It was a rhythm and blues group. It could have been the Method, but I think it was the Feud. So anyway, Frank, I go down and have a look at this guy. I couldn't believe it was Gary. He was only 15 and a half, going on 16. So we went back to play, and I said to Frank, ask Gary to come down, we'll have a chat with him later. So Gary came in, and we're playing the Beatles. I just couldn't believe it. Strawberry Fields. Bernard is playing the wah-wah, and he has it down to a fine art. Gary is completely knocked out. I asked him would he join the band. He said, you'll have to talk to me there. So he says, meet me at the gates of Stormont, which is a bit of an anathema for me. Anybody knows me, that's an anathema for me. But anyway, up I went. I meet Gary at the gates of Stormont. He has his pal with him. I think his name very shortly. And I went to meet his dad. And his dad was only 36 years old, Robert. And I just like to say hello to him now. And that's how the band started. Like, it started like that. And for a couple of years we had, the best of all times. And then Gary he wanted to do a Norman Brothers thing with 2 guitar players. And I said to him, look, I don't think it'll work, Gary, because you really can't play with another guitar player. It wasn't in his nature. But he tried it, and he made a great album called Grinding Stone. And then he just kind of, things didn't, he was here and there. And he was, with the grace of God, Philo brought him back. And in my opinion, fella was like basically, he took him back to where he should be. If he hadn't got banking with Philo again, who knows, he could have done as well, but we'll never know. But we had a great guitar player after Gary. Really, you know, he was a young guy. He played with UFO. So I want you to check him out. He was just one of the great guys of all time. And I'm gonna, you know, just like to say hello to him. Then after that we had Jimmy Slevin came in for a while. Then we had another, Jimmy's out in Germany. He's doing incredibly well. He's playing the folky sort, the jazzy sort, all that sort of stuff. Then we came up with a different Skid Row altogether around 74. And Johnny Wilson from Taste, another phenomenal drummer. He came in for a while, and I'm apologising to Johnny till this day over how we parted the company one Christmas. Nothing got to do with him at all. Like, I was despicable, and I admit that. But we had on guitar, we had Eamon Gibney out jumping around the front, but on guitar we had just a beautiful guitar player. And like, you know, he plays the guitar upside down. And not only does he play beautiful slide, but he plays all styles. And that's Ed Dean. We were blessed to have him there for a good while. Now he came in after Paul Chapman. Now everybody knows Paul. Paul played with UFO. He's a Welsh lad. And when he came in with us, he was only 17. He came in after Gary, like. And he's still a great guitar player. He's out there, same as myself, somewhere doing something great. So, like, after that again, then we had Big Joe Stanton. We had Jody Pollard. Jody's a very melodic guitar player. He lives down in Orlando, in Florida. He writes his own stuff. You want to listen to what he's doing. It's beautiful. And then we had what I would call the king of the blues in Dublin, Pat Farley. Pat still playing the blues every night of the week. He has his own radio show, Radio Clear. Like, nobody believe it. And every so often, Eric Bell had come in and play. We never used the name Skid Row when Eric was playing. It was just one of those things. I done a little band, a little offshoot called the Bell Brush Band with Timmy Creedon on drums. Then when we had what we would call the Skid Row covers band, where we didn't play any Skid Row numbers because we were fighting the music publishing at the time. People don't seem to understand that. And we had this phenomenal drum section. There's never been one like it again. We had Noel on drums. We had Davey Gaynor, like, who was just, and still is, one of the greatest drummers ever to come out of Ireland. On congas, we have Danny Bongos. This, talk about a one-off. As Noel and Davey will tell you, there was never anybody like Danny Bongos on percussion. When Noel Bridgman and Davey Gaynor tell you that Danny Bongos was the greatest percussionist of all time. He was, and he still is. Danny is living in London, and it gives me a chance to say hello to him. Hello, Danny, we're all thinking about you. One of the best of all time. And you still are. You know, we're always glad to see you. So, that was a great band. Davey went off to play with Gail, and I think the guitar player, I don't know him that well, but I know he's playing with Def Leppard. So Davey was so great. Davey could have been up there with the greatest hard rock, heavy metal bands in the world. So yeah, you have that kind of thing. Then after that, I kind of started, you know, after Big Joe and Jody Pollard and Jimmy Gaynor gave us a hand out for a while, I decided to play guitar myself, because I always remembered that Jimmy Page played bass with Jeff Beck, but then he started playing guitar himself. And that's that, when somebody said to me, you played guitar or bass with Gary Moore, I was proud to. And I was proud to play bass with all the guys I played bass with, including Eric Bell, who was at there, you know, leaving Lizzie. But then a time come when I had to play guitar myself. And I've been doing it ever since. And you'll hear me on this new album where there's just Grant, Nicholas and myself. And I play bass and I play guitar, and it's called Skid Row, and it's called Bon Jovi Never Rang Me. And I guarantee you, anywhere in the world, that I'm still one of the heaviest Irish rockers of all time. Now, here's what I'm saying to Snake and Rachel and John Bon Jovi and Richie Zambora. None of you guys are any better than me. We're all musicians. But for some reason in America, everybody seems to think that there's no cracking it unless there's litigation, legalities. I'm not into that stuff. I'm Irish. I don't subscribe to that at all. I'd rather have a battle of the bands or any of us. That's the way we sort things out over here. Let's get up on stage and find out who the best musicians are. Now what's happened is, when you stole a name on me 25 years ago, there was no such thing as classic rock. I bet you Bon Jovi never thought he'd be still doing this thing in 25 years. Like, the average age is 55, 60. But you have all these great classic rock tours, classic rock festivals, classic rock music stations, classic rock radio stations. We can't get on any doing the Skid Row thing because of the situation where people reckon it's a legal deal. You know, if I haven't sued you, I must be wrong. So I've no intention of suing you. What I'm looking for is for you to say straight out that Skid Row are one of the greatest bands in the world. You have a look at that video. Beat Club Bremen, Gary Moore, Bruce Shiels, not just one of the best Irish rock bands in the world, one of the best rock bands in the world. So what I'm saying to you is this. All I'm saying is, I'm here. I've got a new album out. It's called Bruce Shiels. That's not there. If I do the Fields of Athenry, that's Bruce Shiels. If I'm going to Croke Park and I'm playing to 82,000 people on my own, to an 82,000, and if you check this out, you'll find I got the greatest ever reception. The only guy who got a better reception than me, it wasn't U2 or Bon Jovi. Unfortunately, it was Michael Bublé. so all I'm saying, I can live. It's not great, but what can I say? You know what I mean? So it's all about this. Bruce Shiels does the Fields of Athenry, Whiskey in the Jar, Dirty Old Town. The only gig I have definitely in for this year, I have 3 gigs. I have the Nursing Home Christmas party in the Phoenix Park, which I do for nothing, and I sing a couple of Doris Day numbers and a couple of Pat Boone numbers. And I get ladies in wheelchairs to do the locomotion. And I have a couple of wild weddings, usually on the border, where the grandmothers and the grandfathers don't care what the bride and groom think. They want me there playing the Fields of Athenry and tearing into it. So if somebody wants me to come along and play at a wedding on the border, I do that. So I might play a couple of weddings a year. I'll definitely sing a couple of Doris Day numbers. But I'm still, not just in my opinion, but in the opinion of all my friends, one of the greatest and the heaviest rockers of all time. And I'm going to prove it to you, because the proof of the pudding is in whether you can play or not. And over the next 4 to 6 to 8 weeks, I'm going to bring my pals on to talk to me. And every week we're going to have a conversation about the old days. We're going to go through the history of Irish rock. I'm going to take you right back to the start. And there's no better man than Ted Cardle. He was there even before me. I hate to admit it, but he was. And he was there from the very start. And now he's 12 record labels. 12, including Chiswick and Ace. Check them out. And you'll enjoy, come on, it's just a bit of crack. It's a bit of Spinal Tap. And at the same time, there's a lot of principle involved. But we're Irish, we enjoy the crack. We enjoy standing outside fish and chip vans in the middle of the night at 4 o'clock. And looking down the road, and looking up at the stars in the sky and saying, like, how do we get here? And I've been all over the world, and I've played all over the world. And I'm delighted and I'm proud to call myself Irish. And if you want to call us the Irish Skid Row, that's okay. The American Skid Row, I'd have to challenge you to a battle of the bands, I'm sorry. We live in the UFC world now, and you call people out. Now it could be Manny Pacquiao, Floyd Mayweather. That's not what the world is waiting on. The world is waiting on me to take on the American Skid Row, to take on John Bon Jovi. He's all made money out of the name. I don't want any monies off you. All I want is for you to admit that I was Skid Row long before you were. And I'll bring all these people on week in, week out, and we're going to have a bit of crack. We're going to get Smiley here, we're going to get Noel Bridgman, we're going to get Ted Cardle, we're going to get Frank Murray, hopefully Shea Healy, and all the guys who were there from the start. And I just want to thank you all again. Thank you. I really mean it. I want to thank you all again for getting me on websites around the world. Now, as you noticed, out of the 99% of the comments have been negative, having a go at me. I love that. I love negative comments, because to me, every negative comment is a question. I can answer every negative comment that comes in. Doesn't bother me in the slightest. So keep the comments coming in, but the most important thing is, it's all about the music. So when you listen, when I bring out this album, there's people out there saying, he's only doing this because he's bringing out a new album. That's true. But the new album is Skid Row. There are Bruce Shiels albums out there. I've got the biggest Celtic rock record in the world. Anybody will tell you that. It's my version of the Fields of Athenry. You watch the Republic of Ireland and Europe this year and watch how it goes down. That's what it's all about. So I want you to tune in every week. Say hello to me. This is Bruce Shiels, Bon Jovi. Contact me soon so I can go back to using my own name. Thank you all for tuning in. See you all next week.